This is Rabbi Menashe. I'm honored to share some words of Torah as we get ready for Parshat Chayei Sarah. Before we share some words, though, about the portion, as we know, this is a sad time for the Jewish community, in particular because of the passing of Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, of blessed memory. Rabbi Sacks influenced so many of us. His Torah, his insight, his teachings, his humanism. I mean, he was an important person for the Jewish people and for the entire world. And we are bereft. And I'd like to share just a little bit of this teaching, just in his memory, in his honor. In the very beginning of the Torah portion, it starts with the passing of Sarah. And the text says that Abraham came to grieve over Sarah, l'spod l'sara v'livkota, to give a eulogy, to speak about, and to cry. And if you look at the Hebrew writing in that text, the livkota is a ka sound, a kaf. The kaf is a smaller kaf. And it's curious why it's written that way. Why is there a small kaf when that Abraham cried over her? And he says it's meant to show us that usually when a person grieves for a deceased loved one, they cry and then they eulogize. But here with Abraham, it seems to be reverse. Abraham eulogizes and then cries. And one of the commentaries explains that this is because that the inverse process happened with Abraham. That when he lost his wife and he began to talk about her, he realized even more how deep and how profound a loss that was, and that led to him crying. Abraham experiences that elsewhere, where he makes a recognition of the importance, particularly of Sarah, to him, where Abraham first comes to Israel on his mission from God, and he arrives in Israel and he comes to a famine. It's unlivable in Canaan, so he has to move to Egypt. So he travels to Egypt, and on his way down to Egypt from Canaan, he turns to Sarah and says, he says, now I know that you're a beautiful woman. And of course he knows that. What's the question? So now I know that, now I fully appreciate when I realize we're going to go into a place that your safety might be in danger. My safety might be in danger too because of it. That I now more fully appreciate who you are, your beauty, and now I recognize that. So there's moments where it opens up our awareness and gets us to more fully appreciate what is around us. I think that's also what happens in our Torah portion. Abraham has this recognition that once his wife passes, he thinks about and talks about and shares and realizes how profound a loss this is for him. And I think that's what's going to happen in the Jewish community in the way that we process the loss of Rabbi Sacks, is that we're going to talk about, we're going to share the Hespedim, the eulogy. If you have a chance to go onto Rabbi Sacks' website, there is the recorded eulogies from the funeral of his colleagues and friends and family. It's very beautiful and touching to hear some of them. And there'll be the hesped, there'll be the eulogy, and we'll realize once we internalize how much and how profound a loss this is, that's when we'll also be crying more. and how much more we needed to hear from Rabbi Sacks and people like him. So I pray that we'll be able to take the mantle from Rabbi Sacks, carry on his legacy and his humanism and his worldliness and his generosity of spirit, and share that for many years to come. I'd like to also invite you to participate in a project which is just beginning to take shape, that will teach and share from Rabbi Sacks' teachings, that we'll become teachers and communicate with each other what we internalized from his teachings. And so I'd like to please encourage you to participate in that, and we'll hopefully have more details about that to come in the near future. Everybody, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Shabbat of peace and safety for everyone.